Okay, guys, so before we begin, I need your help with a quick experiment. Can you raise your hand or react if you like knowing the answer to things? Okay, now let me ask you a question. What animal can survive being frozen almost completely solid and then come back to life? Don't Google it, don't ask ChatGPT or any AI, just think about it for a moment. I want you to hold that thought. Remember the question. What animal can survive being frozen almost completely solid and then come back to life? Okay, great. Did you notice something? 30 seconds ago, most of you weren't thinking about frozen animals. Now, many of you want to know the answer. Some of you, I see on the chat, are trying to guess. Others are trying to remember something you might have heard before, and some of you might be slightly frustrated that I haven't answered yet. And that feeling actually has a name, and that name is curiosity. Now, today, I don't just want to talk about STEM, and I don't just want to talk about neuroscience. I want to talk about what happens inside the brain before someone becomes a scientist. Because every discovery, every innovation, every research project, and every scientist begins with that exact thing, curiosity. Sorry, I didn't realize that I hadn't turned my camera on. But here's the thing. How many future scientists never become scientists? Here's the thing. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack motivation, not because they are incapable, but because they never had the opportunity to discover science. Think about that. Somewhere in the world right now, there is a student capable of making an incredible discovery. Maybe a future physician, maybe a neuroscientist, maybe an engineering, or maybe someone who will solve a problem that seems impossible today. But they may never get the chance. And that raises an important question. What actually creates a scientist? Is it intelligence? Is it talent? Is it hard work? Or does it actually begin somewhere deeper? Now, who am I? My name is Carol Warren. I'm Mexican. I love communicating science, and I'm an advocate for opportunities for the youth in STEM. I'm a data science and industrial engineering student. I am also the national director of Brainview Mexico, which is an initiative that aims to offer opportunities in neuroscience to students in high school and middle school. And I have a lot of interdisciplinary background. I love just essentially being Barbie and being in everywhere, in every place that I can be, and just trying to create as many opportunities as I can. Here's the thing, the neuroscience of curiosity. Most people think curiosity is a personality trait, something you either have or you don't. But neuroscience tells us something very different. Curiosity is a biological process. It changes the way the brain learns. It changes attention. It changes memory. It changes motivation. And understanding curiosity helps us understand how learning begins. There's this thing called the information gap theory. Here's the thing. One of the most influential explanations of curiosity comes from psychologist George Lowenstein. He proposed something called the information gap theory. And the theory suggests that curiosity appears when we notice the gap between what we know and what we want to know. When the brain notices some missing information, it becomes motivated to close the gap. Think back to the frozen animal question. A knowledge gap appeared, and your brain immediately wanted to fill it by guessing, hypotheses, Googling, all these things. But here's something fascinating. The gap cannot be too small, and it also cannot be too large. If I ask something you already know, curiosity disappears because you already know it. And if I ask you something impossibly complex, curiosity also disappears because your brain becomes bored. Curiosity exists in the sweet spot between certainty and confusion. The moment when the brain thinks, I almost understand it. Now, let's reflect. When you hear the word dopamine, what comes to mind? You can raise your hand and answer via voice or in the chat. It can be a single word. It can be reward, happiness, exactly. You might be thinking pleasure, happiness, reward, and those aren't wrong. But neuroscience has recently discovered that dopamine isn't just the hormone for that. Dopamine helps regulate motivation, learning, attention, and prediction. One of the most fascinating concepts in neuroscience that I've ever learned is something called reward prediction error. The brain works by making predictions. What will happen next? What information will I receive? Will this be worth my attention? When reality turns out to be more interesting, more informative, or more surprising than expected, dopamine activity increases. The brain essentially says, that was unexpected, learn from that, and pay attention. This is why mysteries work, why we are attracted to something that we don't know. This is why cliffhangers work in books and why curiosity works. Curiosity creates uncertainty, and the answer becomes the reward. Knowledge itself becomes rewarding. But there's also some relation between curiosity and memory, because curiosity doesn't only make learning enjoyable, it makes learning more effective. Research has shown that curiosity activates regions involved in memory formation. One important structure is the hippocampus, which I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys have at least heard, but you might not know what it works. The hippocampus helps transform experience into lasting memories. And studies suggest that when people are curious, communication between memory system and reward systems increases. In simple terms, when we're curious, our brain becomes better prepared to learn and better prepared to remember. Now, I'm sure you've heard about neuroplasticity. It's very trending. It's a term that I think we've already heard, and you might not know what it is. But let's take it one step further. Learning doesn't just happen in the brain. Learning changes the brain, quite literally. This ability is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's capacity to reorganize itself through experience. Every new skill, every new memory, every new concept leaves a physical trace in your brain. So when we say curiosity changes the brain, we're not speaking metaphorically. Curiosity literally helps reshape neural pathways. Curiosity rewires your brain. Now, I'd like everyone to participate. Think of one experience that changed the direction of your life. It might be a teacher, a book, a competition, a mentor, a club, a conversation, an event, anything. I'll give you a few seconds for you to reflect and just hold that thought. Now, would anyone, 2 or 3 people would be willing to share? You can raise your hand and use your voice or answer in the chat again. You don't have to get deep. You can just mention a book or something that really changed the direction of your life. I see some people mentioning Brain Bee. I'm really happy to see. Starting university, definitely, that's such a pivoting experience. Is there anyone else that wants to share? I see more Brain Bee participants, and I love that you guys are here. I'm gonna wait a second. That's also a pivoting experience for sure. Okay, so there's a lot of guys from Brain Bee. I'm so happy and so proud that you guys are here. I'm gonna wait a second to see if someone else. So I feel like we're in pandemic, and you guys, I'm the teacher, and you guys are the students that don't want to participate, which I totally get. I was there. I'm gonna give 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna assume that you guys don't want to talk anymore. Perfect, that's great. But as you can see, there's a lot of experiences. There's books, exactly, COVID. It doesn't have to be something big. It can be, as I mentioned, an Instagram reel or really just anything that changed the direction of your life. Now, did you notice something? Most life-changing experiences begin with exposure to something, whether it be a virus, a person, a book, a competition. It's not talent, it's not destiny, it's just that exposure. Now, where does curiosity come from? If curiosity prepares the brain for learning, where does it come from? The reward system. The brain releases dopamine during learning, linking new knowledge to pleasure. It also comes from evolutionary survival. Exploring environments helped ancestors secure resources and avoid dangers. Human neoteny. Humans retain a childlike drive to explore through adulthood and perceptual curiosity. The brain actively seeks to resolve the discomfort of uncertainty. And sometimes it begins with exposure. A student attends a workshop or a class like this, learns about neuroscience, visits a laboratory, joins a STEM competition, as I see so many people from BrainB, meets a mentor, reads a book. A single experience creates a question. That question creates curiosity. Curiosity drives learning, and learning develops interest. Interest develops a purpose. But there's something that we haven't talked about, the hidden STEM gap. Because we often talk about talent in STEM, presence in STEM, but I believe the larger issue is opportunity. Imagine two students, both intelligent, both capable, both curious. One has access to competitions, mentors, and STEM programs such as STEMQuest, but the other never hears about them. Years later, people might say that the first student was simply more talented. But was it talent or was it exposure? Because potential often remains invisible until it is given the chance to emerge. And here's a real example. Through neuroscience outreach and STEM programs, I've met students who had never heard of neuroscience before encountering opportunities like this. Months later, they were discussing pathways, memory, neuroplasticity, and even neuroanatomy. Not because their intelligence suddenly changed, because their exposure changed. And here's a picture of one of my, well, actually the first edition of BrainB. Yeah, they were high school kids, as I mentioned, that had no previous knowledge about neuroscience. I don't think they even had a clue that neuroscience existed or that they could actually get into this, but they decided to join BrainB. They decided to learn, they decided to take a chance and give BrainB a chance. And as you can see, some kids in the chat are mentioning that BrainB changed the direction of their life, whether it was by exposure, as I mentioned to the kids. You can have exposure to neuroscience and be like, yes, this is my path, I love medicine. Or you can actually be like, I hate this. This is definitely not for me. I'm going to go into marketing. And that's totally valid. But because you were exposed to it, now you know what you actually like. And that is the importance. Now, why this matters for STEM? Every scientist, the ones that we admire, was once just a curious student. Every researcher was once someone asking questions. Every innovator was once someone just exploring an idea. The future of STEM depends on creating environments where curiosity can thrive. Not just universities, not just labs, in schools, in communities, in competitions, in youth initiatives such as this one, and conversations. Let's reflect. I love reflecting questions, if you can see. Raise your hand or react in the chat if you've ever discovered an interest, a skill, passion, or opportunity because someone exposed you to it. Now, exposure can be, I saw it on Instagram, I saw it on LinkedIn, a friend recommended it to me. I don't know, it came in a dream. It can be, honestly. I see a lot. So as you can see, practically everyone. Check the amount of reactions here. That means something important. The experiences that shape our lives rarely appear in isolation. Someone introduces us to them. Someone opens a door. Someone shows up a possibility that we didn't know existed. The next great scientist may already exist. The next neuroscientist, the next physician, the next engineer, the next innovator. The question is not whether they have talent. The question is whether they will have the opportunity to discover it. Because curiosity is universal, but opportunity is not. And if we truly want a stronger future for STEM, our responsibility is not simply to search for talent. It is to create conditions that allow talent to be found. And if you guys need me, or if you want to talk about, I don't know, competitions, workshops, initiatives that I know. I'm from Mexico, but I know a lot of initiatives that aren't really from Mexico, that are international. I'm in a lot of initiatives. So if you guys need me, those are my socials. That's my email. You can send me an email. I'm probably always available. And if you know someone from Mexico or someone is from Mexico, that is the handle of the Brain Bee Mexico Instagram, in case you want to go check out. I'm pretty sure that Brain Bee is available in over 30 countries. So if that's something that you didn't know, you can check if your country is there. We're currently in the national competitions. So you might actually want to compete in Brain Bee, and we might see you in the international round. So that was it, guys. Any questions, concerns, something you want to yell at me at for? Anything that you want to tell me, you can raise your hand and tell me, or you can also just say it on the chat. Both are fine. Any questions, really? There really isn't any dumb questions. Thank you for the reactions, guys. I'm happy that you enjoyed this. Are there any questions, guys?
Okay, if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the chat box, and she can get back to them. If not, then we can go ahead and conclude the session. Thank you so much, Carol, for your time. It was a lovely session. I'm pretty
Thank
sure
you.
everyone really enjoyed it, and it was super engaging. So thank you so much for your time and for being a part of STEMQuest 4.0.
It's always amazing to come back, and always amazing for you guys to create these opportunities. Yes, a quick question. Essentially, what BrainBee does, it's an international competition. It has chapters everywhere. Well, I wish everywhere in the world, but around 30 countries in the world. And what it does, it's like I mentioned, it's a competition. It has 3 exams: a theory exam, a practical case, and neuroanatomy. And essentially, what you just do is you learn about neuroscience based on a book that's called Brain Facts, that it's also free and available. It is backed by the International Youth Neuroscience Association and the AANs, a lot of initiatives that really aim to bridge the gap between knowledge. And essentially, what BrainBee does is offer this competition, and whoever wins their national round will go into the international round representing their country. And I think it's the 3 of the 5 best ones go a week to I don't know where it is this year, but you go a week and you go into research and you meet mentors and you do networking, and it's a very wonderful experience. We actually have the Mexico national winner here in this conversation. I don't know if she led, but her name is Maya, so she will be representing Mexico. If you have any more questions about BrainBee, I'll be more than happy to answer them, or any questions in general.
Okay, I believe there are not many questions. I'm pretty sure you did an amazing job at delivering the session. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's session. Thank you, Carol, for your time. And with that, we can go ahead and conclude the session.
Thank you so much, guys. And again, if you need me, you can just shoot me an email or something. Thank you guys for your time and for attending.